What I want to do as a document is to go around and explain how these four scenarios operate. So it's not the job of the scenario planner to make predictions or to identify a preferred future. Instead, it's simply to say, these are the four scenarios, these are the warning signs that you must look out for. I've also developed at the end of the dissertation a communication strategy whereby the Uniting Church, if it wished, could emphasise, one, the fact that God is at work in the world. We must not judge the state of the Christian church by what we see in Australia or New Zealand or Great Britain. We have more Christians in the world than ever before. So one is to emphasise that God is very active in the world, and maybe good resources for the Uniting Church would be to assist where the church is growing rather than sit on the resources unused in this country. Secondly, to emphasise the pace of change at which the world is changing. And then thirdly, to encourage churches perhaps to reflect as a congregation or as a parish. I've drawn up a list of questions. What is going wrong with the Uniting Church? It has the most open and inviting membership approach of all the churches, and yet it does not manage to attract the members. It's doing its best, doesn't have the restrictions that some of the other denominations do, but it's failing. Is the congregation too focused on managing the present to think about the challenges of the future? How can the congregation communicate with younger generations? The Uniting Church has an increasing number of older people. They will be around for a long while, but they may not have the financial assets to keep the Uniting Church going. Are we just recycling the past, doing next year what we did last year? Why can't we amalgamate with another nearby congregation? If the Uniting Church did not exist, would we now bother to create it? Are we just too tired to carry on? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And finally, if this congregation closed down today, would the local community notice its disappearance? Would the community care? What I would like to do is to go around to speak to the various levels of the Uniting Church and say, these are the four scenarios, these are the warning signs. We need to be thinking about contingency plans to cope with each of these warning signs. We need to be focused far more on the future and the threats and opportunities which are emerging, because each of the scenarios has opportunities, and we just need to be ready to grasp those opportunities. Certainly we do have a declining membership, but there are still many other opportunities that are available.